Hello, 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 friends. Nicholas here with DIVO, TED Talks, Devoted Talks, where we take ancient wisdom and practices through a modern lens and experience so that we can hopefully help you and your loved ones in suffering in y'all's lives. Oh man, so many things to talk about, so many things to think about. I am at the studio right now. I taught an early morning class and it was hard to get out of bed today. I could definitely feel the kapha in the air, right? It was rainy overnight and it was cloudy when I got up, and there's a lot of moisture in the air and it just weighs on my kapha body intensely. And so it was hard to get moving, and I didn't want to overdo it, right? Like if you are feeling stagnant and slow and sluggish, as Dr. Loud would say, it it's not good to overly force yourself forward. It's like pushing mud rather than putting the mud into a bucket first and then moving it, right? It's hard to stay together when you do that. So I've been trying to collect myself literally and figuratively to go forward. And I mean that's a good enough of any reason to talk, because Ayurveda is not that hard and it is wholly applicable to everything. However, the methodology is going to be slightly variegated based on who is involved and the doshas that are involved, right? And you can't force something to be something that it's not, at least in that moment. So you can't make a Vata person just sit still. That's not good for them. Just like it's not good to push a Kapha from stationary into a sprint. And Pitta people, well, they're kind of in the middle of everything. And Dr. Lad used to call them delicate flowers. So too much sun or too much this or too much that, and they go. And so then when you have multiple doshas prevalent in a body, then you get all kinds of interesting interactions that, can manifest in lots of different ways. So why do I bring this up? I bring this up because just because it's not a topic that you spent a lot of time studying doesn't mean you don't understand it, because this is the science of life. And in that science of life, you already have answers that are related to your lived experience, because you know things about you, your body, and life in general that you've experienced over time, that you utilize, that you participate in, that makes your life more functional and better, and or gets you through the day. Like the easiest example of Ayurveda is you get cold and then you cover yourself with a blanket. Ta-da! It changes the elements that you're being exposed to, and therefore the qualities and gunas that you're absorbing into your body changes. So boom, Ayurveda right there. Not hard, nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. You are an expert on you already. You just sometimes don't acknowledge it as much as you should or could. So, what does that mean for me today? One, it means I am going to teach my next class, and then I'm going to go sit down and rest, be quiet, calm, collected, maybe read, maybe just meditate, and then come back and teach my class at noon and not overexert myself. I need to make sure that I get myself moving first, mind, body, and spirit, and then proceed. But in the summertime, you should see me. So as a kapha in the summertime, I'm getting these qualities that balance my kapha, which then turns the kapha into fuel. And all of a sudden, I'm just like boundless energy. In the wintertime, I don't have as much of those qualities coming in. I do get it when I'm in the hot yoga room, but when I'm teaching rather than practicing, it's a different experience. It's a different kindling and fortifying than it is if I'm actually taking the class, which it's hard for me to guide myself. Like I just have come to terms with that. I can't teach myself. I'm not going to do it on my own. I don't like putting on videos because I just like to have connection. Not that the videos can't feel connected, but I can only watch music videos a couple of times. Excuse me. Or listen to my favorite song maybe 3 or 4 times before I'm over it. And so the monotony of the same voice with the same person, and listening to the same class maybe will last me about 3 or 4 times before I get bored, because I know exactly what's coming, and it makes my mind a little bit less cued in. So what does this all mean? It means that each season has its own unique qualities. Each region has its own unique qualities in relation to that season. each day of your life has its unique qualities that sometimes cycle predictably and sometimes cycle unpredictably because you're dealing with people, places, and things. And, the time of year and the greater cycle of years, every 13 years, the sunspots change and there's solar flares. And so that can impact us. So there's a lot of things impacting us. What we frequently don't do is we become very unconscious about our living. And in that unconscious living, we're not noticing things that are helpful, clues that could make life that much better, clues that could make us more um, formidable in our wellness journey, more formidable in our ability to assess, see clearly, and then proceed healthfully in our lives. So, um, oftentimes we look at stuff retrospectively, and in many ways that's good because, at least if you're looking back retrospectively, you can see cause and effect, and that's helpful. But what if you look at cause and effect enough that looking forward, you can kind of project what's going to happen? So I used to get, Fitbits or different body monitors, and I would only wear them about 2 weeks because then I would learn what the feel in my body was and the related heart rate. So then I knew what I was experiencing and what I was seeing when I did that. I mean, I would get them and I'm like, yeah, this is great. This is amazing. And then after a while, I'm like, okay, I get it, right? 180 feels like this. 125 feels like this. I breathe this heavy when I have a heart rate of such and such. Certain exercises take me to this level. And I became um, very intimately familiar with these cause and effects, these outcomes based on the exercise that I was doing. And then I could choose wisely about how to apply them. And then if I ever started to get slack on or disconnected with what I was seeing and feeling, then I would do it again. I would set it up and I would start uh, paying attention again. And this was good. And this worked and has worked for me. I've never owned an iWatch, mostly because I don't like wearing things for long periods of time anymore. I used to. I had a bracelet that I wore for years and years and years. And somebody was like, you have to get this off of you. It's got so many negative energies. And I finally got rid of it. And my life did get better once I got rid of it. So I don't know. I think the metal absorbed all the negativity. Um, but, you know, life in many cultures has been called the great mystery or, the great unknown or the unknowable. And in some ways, this is true. But the practices that we learn in Ayurveda and yoga are keen on and, you know, set for us to become more familiar with understanding, not necessarily being able to predict the future, but being able to feel it and sense it because we're connected to it, right? Like when I'm in the ocean, I can feel when a wave is coming based on the way the currents move underneath of the surface. This too is happening with movements of life. There is no difference between the way the ocean moves, the way the wind blows, than the way emotions and energies flow. We probably build divides within our mind about that because of how easy to sense some of them are versus others, right? Some of them use our more gross senses, right? The main five and maybe even six, but then there's subtler senses that pick up magnetics, that pick up solar energy, that pick up people's energy. And the more you pay attention, the more you're tuned in to self, the more sensitive you are going to be to all of these. And then when you've interacted with them long enough with enough attention and intention, you can then start to get a sense and a feel for what's coming. What does this mean for you? It means look ahead at what you have and judge what things might be like so that you're prepared for them before they come, right? Like I was looking at today and I was like, well, I have to get up early and I have to teach a late class. I'm probably going to be kind of tired. So I need to make sure that I take care of myself. I fuel myself more throughout the day so that I can show up at the level that I want to show up. And it was about me making these choices and being involved in them rather than just showing up and being like, oh no, I didn't expect this. I mean, that can be very depleting. And that's like Vata all its own, right? Vata itself is depleting. dosha. Kapha is a building one, but Kapha can't work without Vata. Vata has to move the Kapha into the right places so that it builds appropriately, evenly, and fully. So that's a whole nother story. All the doshas are good in their own way. Any dosha out of balance is bad for you. Some have greater impacts than others. So, sapere aude, my favorite Latin phrase, dare to be wise, dare to know, and be well and be free.